Historical villains. I've talked a lot about history. I've talked a lot about pop culture, okay? And listen, I love going over the aura of MCU villains. However, we can have some solidarity and some comfort that there's absolutely no way that villains like that actually exist. If you can't tell, I'm being like massively sarcastic. Where do you think we got the motive, like the inspiration for these supervillains? No. Name a supervillain in pop culture. I guarantee you they either have an inspiration that was just as bad, or they actually had to water them down for the films, plays, or TV shows or whatever, because people wouldn't believe that somebody like that could actually exist. And in this video, that's what we're going to be going over. We're going to be going through history, a little bit of modern day, not too much. And we're going to be talking about real-life villains that either have existed or are currently still existing today. That's what we're going to be talking about, okay? It's been a minute since I've done a historical video, and brother, I'm happy to do these. I love the historical content, dude. It makes me feel good because I feel like I'm actually giving you guys something that isn't like slop content. Like, I'll just be real, dog. Like, all the other videos are fun. At least the history videos, I can argue, are educational. Which does make me feel good, kind of, okay? Because I think history is the most fun subject. Because in what other subject are you going to hear about a new dude named Vlad the Impaler that is actually so brutal that they thought he was a vampire? We'll cover that later on in the video. We got everybody from Saddam, the big Dahmer Hussein, Pablo Escobar, and Diddy. And we're going to be putting them into a tier list of how evil I think they are. Okay, listen, no more long-winded intro. If that sounds fun to you and you want to hear some more type of content I'm going to be making, please consider a like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to get to, 250,000 subscribers by the end of the year. My big goal is 1 million before the release of Elder Scrolls 6, and I'll be real, I think that's going to be pretty easy, because I really don't think that's ever going to come out. And with all that out of the way, let's talk about historical villains. Let's go! Saddam Hussein. I've actually talked about Saddam Hussein quite a bit on this channel, which is something I never thought I would say. Okay, Saddam Hussein, okay, here's the thing. Evil guy, yes. Got us involved in the Gulf War, where America showed off American superiority. 28 days of continuous air support, that's all I'm saying. Well, why did we get involved? Because you effed with the price of oil. Yes, if you want to summon the great old US of A like Maharaja, all you gotta do is increase oil prices and we practically spawn in. Also, America flex one more time. We are the only global military in the history of this ball that we call planet Earth that could mobilize on any square foot on the planet within 48 hours. Ooh-rah, okay? And Saddam Hussein, the big Dam Hussein, had to realize that the hard way, okay? Now, listen, I could go over all of the evil stuff that he did, all of that, all of this, okay? But the most evil thing he ever did was actually something that we're going to talk about later on in the video. But big Saddam Hussein, here's the thing. I understand to a certain point. I get it to a certain point. Because at the same time, I'm like, brother, imagine living in a country where, I'm not even kidding you, there was 4 separate coups d'etats or revolutions before you turned 30. Like, dog, I would be getting some ideas too, okay? You're over here living in a country where you're not sure where the government is going to go within the next 48 hours. So you're kind of thinking to yourself, okay, maybe I can give it a try. And then, I'm going to be real. This isn't off aura. But brother had some aura farming moments. Probably, like, this is going to sound really messed up. One of the most stereotypical evil things that he did is also probably one of the most aura-filled. What he did is he invited a lot of his constituents into a private theater where he would give a speech, okay? And he would read the names off of potential traitors to the cause. And whenever you had your name read, you would be taken out to the back alley and immediately executed by Saddam Hussein's bodyguards. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Do you know who was on the list? Literally everybody in the theater. Oh, so did he get rid of everybody? No. The only people that survived were the people that stood up before their name was called and proclaimed their allegiance to the Saddam Hussein regime, okay? Not gonna lie, that's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, that needs to be in a Netflix documentary at some point. That's kind of dope. Evil? Yes. Also a little bit of a funny thing. He once tried an assassination attempt on the dude who was the president of his country, but effed up because he didn't realize that if I put 2 firing squads... okay, This is how funny it is. Imagine this is a car, okay? Imagine this Band-Aid is a car, and the car is driving down a road. What do you think happens if I try to assassinate him, and I have a firing squad here and a firing squad here, okay? What do you think's gonna happen when the car goes in between both of them? Yeah, they're gonna shoot each other. He didn't know that, and he nearly died, and he ran to Egypt to go study law, and was like, yo, maybe this whole revolution thing is not me, okay? And then didn't give up on his dreams, and then became the dictator of Iraq. All I'm saying is never give up on your dreams, but have different dreams, okay? Now, where am I going to put him in evil? He's pretty evil. Is he the devil? No. Yeah, he's evil. He just is. I'm sorry. There's literally a rap sheet of evil shit that he did that includes a lot of innocent people. At the end of the day, you just get put in evil off rip. Is he the most evil person? No. We'll cover that in a second. Pablo Escobar. If you ever seen Narcos, you're going to be pronouncing it the same way, okay? This man had a catchphrase. He did. What? Pablo Escobar is probably, out of everybody on this list, might be the closest to being evil. No, to being a supervillain out of everybody on here. Okay. What do you think? This man ran a cartel crime empire. And along with that, he had 2 pet hippopotamuses that he named one of them Pepe. Okay, and what did he do with the hippopotamuses? He would feed his rivals to him. He also had a sidekick that had a really, like, culturally, how do I say this? Problematic name. Actually, you know what? I'll just say it. He had a black friend, and you know what he named him? Blackie. Yes, that's a real thing. They didn't make that up for the Narcos TV show. That actually happened, dude. That is the most stereotypical supervillain thing I've ever heard. Now, to play, I was gonna say devil's advocate, but in this case, it's probably, I'm gonna play Saul Goodman really quick. He didn't come up from the best. Like, here's another one, dog. Never give up on your dreams. This man grew up being a little street urchin, okay? In a loving way. Actually, yeah, basically a street urchin. And this man, at his prime, was spending $250,000 on rubber to make rubber bands to keep his money together. There's a story of he was taking his son camping, and he had to keep his son warm, so he decided to start throwing bricks of bills into the fire to keep his kid warm. Also, he got caught by the Colombian government, and then they allowed him to build his own prison. He literally built his own prison that was, if it was a hotel, would actually be considered the most luxurious hotel ever built in the history of Colombia. He had a pool, a basketball court. Never once played basketball, okay? Never once. Had an office, okay? He had a tunnel that he could escape from, a helicopter landing pad. He had a supervillain hideout. He did. Okay, listen. I understand I drag it when I say I'm going to make dedicated history videos. I am. You guys just love these videos too, so I have to balance it by giving you guys this and other videos. Pablo Escobar 100% gets his own video because he is the closest thing to a supervillain that we've ever had. Had his own security hideout, had a sidekick, had a whole criminal group that loved him. They actually called him the Robin Hood of Colombia because he put a lot of his money into building low-income housing for the people of Colombia. They still love him to his day. And here's the thing. I'm not scared of nuance. Pablo Escobar, you can make an argument that Pablo Escobar did things that actually helped the entire country of Colombia. Just saying. Also, if you counted Pablo Escobar as a legitimate business, he would be in the top 20 richest people on the planet. Oh, and here's the funny part. 25% of the entirety of the GDP of Colombia was strictly from Pablo Escobar himself. What type of Lex Luthor flex is that? I am 25% of the worth of my country. He could actually make an argument for buying the entire country of Colombia. Tried to run for president. They found out some stuff that he was like laundering money. That is how they got him out of running for president because they were worried that he was going to win. Bought a soccer team. He's crazy. Dude, he's him. Pablo Escobar. Okay. Now this is where I'm going to make some people mad. He's bad. But when I compare him to some of the other people on here, I get it. I'm sorry, say what you want. He was a pretty good dad. Honestly, We'll talk about Saddam's kid. We'll talk about Saddam's son. At least Pablo Escobar was a pretty cool dad. At least give him that. Okay, did he do some evil stuff? Yes, that's why he's on here. But at the end of the day, if I came from his upbringing, I could understand. I get it. Still bad, though. I get it, but still bad. Just saying, I'm covering my bases here. Okay, one other thing, dog. If that's not motivation that you could actually, like, achieve something in your life, I don't know what to tell you, bro. I get it. Uday Hussein. Yeah, you ever watch Game of Thrones and you look at Joffrey and they're like, there's absolutely no way that something like that could ever happen again? Let me introduce you to Uday Hussein, the son of Saddam Hussein. To give you an idea of how ridiculously evil that this guy was, Saddam said that one of the greatest, regrets of his life was raising his son Uday. Because he said, and I quote, Uday is too brutal to rule. Saddam Hussein, the dictator, okay, said that his son was too evil to take in his footsteps. That's insane. That's crazy, dude. Oh, what did he do? Okay, I can't get into the specifics of what Uday did. Maybe that'll be its own video, but I 100% need a sponsor for that. So anybody who wants to be a sponsor of the channel, help me out with the Uday Hussein video. I will do it, no questions asked. What can I do? Okay, here's one. Bodyguards that were around the Hussein Palace said that when Uday Hussein discovered the internet, the humanity as a whole wept. Bro, what? He had a bunch of oxyacetylene torches, which what oxyacetylene is it's just a tank of gas, and you ignite it, and it's like a concentrated flame outward. He got one of those, not because he wanted the weld, but because he wanted to find new ways of getting people to talk. That's how evil this guy was. On top of that, a lot of the pictures of Uday aren't actually Uday. You want to know what that is? He kidnapped a dude, put him through physical surgery and plastic surgery to break his cheekbones and reestablish them to make him look like exactly like how he did. And he would have this guy basically pretend to be him. He got shot 3 times, and then he allowed him to go visit his family for 15 minutes when he was in the hospital. Yeah, this guy is recovering from a gunshot wound, and do you know what he did? He ran out of his hospital room to go visit his dad, who he told, Dad, I'm alive. Because they all just assumed that Uday killed him. What happened to him? He managed to escape when we were taking down the Hussein regime, but his mom and dad were executed for treason against the Hussein regime, which is evil. This guy is so evil, dude. Don't even get me started what he would do with brides on their wedding night, dude. He would go around traveling around his country and abducting like wives or like people about to get married, and then he would proceed to eat them over and over and then get them with the dogs. Evil, dude. He might be the devil. Okay, for you to be so evil that your dad, Saddam, looks at you and says, "Ayo, bro, you are way too evil to rule." That's insane. Might be the devil. All I'm saying. Evil mustache man. This one's low-hanging fruit. I had to put him on here just because if I say evil person in history, this is the guy. Dog, he is the closest thing we got to real-life Voldemort. That's all I'm gonna say. Now! I don't really got anything. I was gonna try to play devil's advocate, but then I remembered, there's not much that I can really do. Like, there's not much. Like, here's the thing. There isn't a lot of nuance in World War II. The most that I can do for Germany is that the average citizen didn't know what was going on. And Germany was bankrupt by World War I because we made the entirety of Germany pay for World War I because of the Treaty of Versailles. The Treaty of Versailles is known as the most influential and our worst treaty that we've ever put out, because what it effectively did is it charged the entirety of the world's debt from World War I onto Germany. Well, why did we do that? Because Germany was the biggest enemy country that was still around after World War I, and America lost so much money in World War I, so did the UK, that they needed to make some money. I want you to think about this. World War I was so miserable that even after the war ended, we were so miserable that we made a country that didn't have the means to pay us back basically say, hey, yo, give us your lunch money for the next 100 years so we don't annihilate you. That's essentially what we did with Germany after World War I. So imagine the desperation of the people there for them to literally go on a villain arc, okay? Like, no joke. The entirety of Germany from World War I to World War II legitimately looked at the world and said, so you think I'm the villain? Bet. I will become the villain. And that's what they did. They became they had super villain suits. Look at those old uniforms. They were designed by Balenciaga. They were the same. They were designed by Balenciaga. They had Volkswagen, they had their own mobiles, their own uniforms. They were dripped out out insanely. He had his own hideout. He had a castle. This is Voldemort mixed with Doctor Doom. Insane, dude. Evil. Now, is he the devil? Okay, Uday was literally nice to nobody. Uday was literally never nice to a single person. Yeah, but that's a lot of people. He gets off there off rip. Yeah. He probably has the highest body count of everybody on here, though. Yeah. Off body count alone, I have to put him up there. Vlad the Impaler. I've already talked about how the story of Vlad the Impaler is so crazy that they literally thought that he was a demon. Dog, okay, let me give you the brief rundown of the story of Vlad the Impaler before I do the dedicated video. Okay. Vladimir Dracula, otherwise known as Vlad Tepes, was born of a, I think his name was Dracul Tepes from Wallachia. Wallachia was a little tiny county just north of the Ottoman Empire. Yes, the most powerful empire currently in the world. Wallachia is about the size of, maybe Detroit, plus, yeah, basically the thumb of Michigan. That's essentially what Wallachia is, minus a few hundred acres, okay? And then the Ottoman Empire was trying to conquer Wallachia because it was on its borders. They were fighting this guy named Dracul for years. Dracul was running a fade with the Ottomans. And Dracul ended up losing a war with the Ottomans. And then they said, hey, we're going to take both of your sons and we're going to hold them inside of the Ottoman Empire and raise them. And if you ever go to war with us again, we're going to execute your children and your bloodline will end. Because these were his sons from a royal marriage, so these children were entitled to Wallachia when they grew up, okay? So, Dracul said that, and says, okay, I promise I will never attack you. This is Dracula's dad. And then he said, immediately when he got to Wallachia, ayo, fuck them kids, I can make another one. And then goes to war with Ottomans. Basically, his children were sentenced to death right there. But, psych! No, the Ottomans were like, ayo, what if we raise them as our own? So they raised Vladimir Tepes, or Vladimir Dracula, okay, to be one with the Ottomans, teaching him ways of warfare, interrogation, this is a little something we call foreshadowing, and basically turned him into the Winter Soldier, okay? By it was either his 16th or his 18th birthday, they sent him back to Wallachia to go talk to his dad, and Dracul's dad died afterwards, mysteriously. And then they're over here, the Ottomans are like, okay, finally. Vladimir Dracula, our guy, our Winter Soldier, is now the sole leader of Wallachia, and now we have Wallachia. Good job, Dracula. Hopefully nothing bad happens. Count Dracula immediately Vlad the Impaler is Count Dracula for anybody who's confused. Looks back at the Ottomans and said, ayo, psych! This is my land, okay? And I will run a fade with the entirety of the Ottoman Empire from my little tiny county. And then the leadership of the Ottoman Empire was like, bro, really? What is this guy going to do? What happens next is what made history. He would save the bark and branches off trees to impale Ottoman soldiers, them from their butt to their mouths along the border of Wallachia to the Ottoman Empire. Do you have any idea how crazy you have to be for the Ottoman Empire to look at you and say, oh, he's a demon. He's a demon. He has to be a demon. There's no possible way. That is why we think Vlad the Impaler is Count Dracula and Nosferatu. Because he was so brutal to the Ottomans that they just assumed, okay, He's the devil. He has to. There's no way. There's no way. And he's over here like, Wallachia remains Christian. And they're like, bro, he's the devil. He has to. He's a fucking vampire. There's no way. However, if you look at it through Dracula's eyes, he's kind of justified. Imagine you get abducted as a child because your dad was a deadbeat, and then you get trained as the Winter Soldier by people that really were going to kill you 15 minutes ago, and then the moment you get any freedom, you off your dad, and then you say, you know what, you guys, we're going to war, and I don't care if it kills me. I am going to be the thing that you fear. That's pretty metal. I'm just saying, bro. That's pretty metal. I'm putting him... He's justified, kinda. I understand where he was going. Just a little bit too brutal. But he's the one that made history, not me. Just saying. Justified, kinda. Which would be modern-day Romania. So you Romanians got him. So when I do the ethnicity or race tier list, I'm going to give you guys a bump in aura because you have Vlad the Impaler in your bloodline. Just saying. Genghis Khan. Now, what does Genghis Khan have? Similar to Vlad the Impaler, he had a supervillain nickname. Do you know what his supervillain nickname was? Genghis Khan. Do you know what Genghis Khan means? Universal ruler. Ruler of the universe. What other nicknames did he have? Oh, I don't know. How about the punishment of Allah? He was known as the punishment of God. Okay? Do you have any idea how much of a menace you have to be for your enemies to just assume that you were sent by God to punish them for their sins? 10% of the global population was done in by the Mongols, okay? And he even has a supervillain backstory. Has anyone ever told you about the origins of Genghis Khan? Well, I'm about to, in simple terms. Anyways, Genghis Khan murked his half-brother by the time I think he was 6 because his half-brother stole like his fist or his meat one time. So he shot him with an arrow and killed him. Okay, so automatically we got some red flags. And then by the time that he was, I believe it was 13 or 15, he had his first marriage, okay? And then his wife got abducted, and then he had to raise an army to get his first wife back. And then when he finally was able to get her back, he found out that she was pregnant with the child of her captor, okay? Which is so crazy considering the fact that, oh my goodness, oh my god, you turned him into a supervillain. You did. To the guy who kidnapped his wife. You inadvertently, like, that's a crass-outable offense. Like, I just want to put you into that. That is a crass-outable offense. Just saying. Your wife gets abducted, she has a child, and then she dies later on. I mean, I think I would become a supervillain. Unironically, bro, Genghis, I get it. They think his real name was Temujin. Where am I gonna put him? The only thing that keeps him from might be the devil is it was so brutal back then that him raising up an army to get his wife back was just considered a normal thing. And, okay, good things that he did, he made it illegal for you to impregnate your enemy's wives. That's how wild Mongolia was, that needed to be a law. Imagine. I understand America's a wild place. I get it. I'm not saying that it isn't. Imagine if we had to introduce a law that said, "Ayo, you can't impregnate your enemy's wives," and then everybody was like, "What? No, you've gone too far, Genghis." Bro, what? Insane, dude. Evil, but not quite the devil because he did do some good. Some good, just saying. And it was a brutal time. Christopher Columbus. Yeah, I put his ass on here. I'm sorry. The amount of Columbus glazers that I have encountered in my lifetime. Let me tell you something, man. I think cancel culture in its entirety is ultimately pointless because you kind of become like the hall monitor of the internet. It's like, yeah, you're right, but you're boring and kind of annoying. So I don't want your line of... Like, no, that's a fact. Isn't that kind of crazy how, like, we grew up, the cancel culture was like the police of the internet. Now they're like the annoying hall monitor, and they're kind of like, oh, look at how boring they are. Sometimes cancel culture unironically makes people more powerful. So, yeah, I'm sorry, that's a separate rant, okay? One of the best things that they did was try to get rid of Columbus Day and replace it with Indigenous People Day. I fully back that, only because Christopher Columbus is an actual hysterically evil person. I'm sorry. Oh, well, you're judging him by today's morality. No, you know why I can say Christopher Columbus was an evil person? Because people around him said he was evil. I'm sorry. This was a guy that his own crew was planning on mutinying him because they said that he was crazy and cruel. He got excommunicated by the Catholic Church for being too brutal to the natives. Do you have any idea how brutal you have to be to Native Americans for the Europeans to be like, hey, yo, get his ass out of church? I'm sorry, okay? The amount of people that I see try to be a contrarian by being like, oh, well, he discovered the new world. No, he didn't! No, he didn't! First off, don't even get me started with the fact that Vikings already landed in northern Canada about 100 to 150 years before Christopher Columbus's voyage to the New World. But no, this guy was such a terrible explorer that he didn't even know he landed in a new continent. Yeah, you want to know why America is called America and not Colombia? No, it's because there was a guy named Amerigo Vespucci that landed in America and immediately said, oh yeah, bro, this isn't the West Indies. Oh, yeah, this is a different place. Christopher Columbus is a complete and utter fraud. Also, do you know what happened to Christopher Columbus? The moment he came back to Portugal, they immediately exiled him because they were like, dude, you are too crazy. Get out of here. Oh, well, okay, if that's not enough for you to admit that Christopher Columbus was an evil person, let me just, again, illustrate this, okay? Christopher Columbus landed next to these Native Americans, okay? And he was trying to get them to give him gold, okay? Immediately started chopping off their hands if they did not bring him a certain amount of gold. Keep in mind, okay? These people have literally no reason to have beef with them. His own crew said that this was too brutal. And on top of that, he wrote back to Portugal and said, these people are kind and gullible. They will make fine slaves. Evil! Evil, dog! Christopher Columbus is an evil guy, dude. Oh, well, what? Okay, let me tell you something. Your school probably lied to you like they did to me. They said that he was trying to figure out that if the world was flat or not. No, most people believe that the earth was a globe at that point in history. So, number one, cap. And the reason that he was trying to take that route is he was trying to figure out a more efficient way to transport spices like cumin and paprika from the West Indies to Portugal, because Portugal was in a trade war with Spain and the UK. Or Britain. So, that is what he was doing, and he thought he landed in the West Indies. That's why he called them Indians. And before you hit me with, well, India was called Hinduistan. Yeah, the West Indies were called the West Indies, dummy. Bro. Evil. Get out of here. Jeffrey Dahmer. This man would have a nickname called... Okay, no, he does. The Milwaukee Cannibal. He literally already has a supervillain nickname, dog. What do you want me to say? I have nothing more to say. He even has like a super villain back time story. His mom didn't like him and his dad was grossly negligent and didn't see any red flags with dead animals always being around. Just saying. His parents were like brutally distant. Does that give him a pass? Absolutely not. I'm sorry. There's lots of people who have mommy and daddy issues. They don't fucking eat people. Like, I hate when serial killers do this thing where they try to tell you why they're effed up. I'm like, no, stay in your box till you die, dog. Get out of here, dog. Evil. No, he might be the devil. He might be the devil. Yeah, he might be the devil, dog. Evil. Kim Jong Un. Probably one of the weirdest ones on here because, do I get it? No. Like, it must be so bizarre to be Kim Jong Un. I don't even know how that mind works. Like, at all. Like, imagine thinking that your dad invented the fucking cheeseburger. Like, what? Again, weird. That's so crazy to me. Like, you're like one of the last true dictators in the world. And then we kind of just ignore it because, okay, there's another one. I hate when people try to be so contrarian to the point where like, well, you just dislike North Korea because America told you to. Tell me what I'm missing with North Korea. Tell me. What am I missing with North Korea? Tell me. Nothing? Okay. Well, you don't know. Brother, you can see where North Korea begins and South Korea begins based off how much light that they have. Okay? How much infrastructure South Korea has. I'm sorry. If you want to see a better argument over who was in the right in the Cold War, look at South Korea and North Korea, and you tell me who's in the right. Out of here, dude. In truth, we actually don't know all of the evil stuff that he did. However, I'm just going to put him in evil. Is he as bad as Uday Hussein? No. Uday's evil, dog. Yeah, I just got to put him there. King Leopold II. Evil. He is one of the most stereotypical evil kings of all time. This guy was a king of Belgium, okay? And Belgium was on the way out, but he inherited a lot of land, which was basically, I think it was either the Congo. Yeah, I think it was the Congo. Yeah, it was the Congo, okay? And this was the one where they had, like, the hand tax where, oh, if you didn't gather enough, I think it was rubber from rubber trees, they would cut off your hands. They stopped that. You want to know why they stopped that? Because King Leopold II said, and I quote, "Don't cut off their fucking hands. Cut off their ears, their noses, their fingertips, their tongues, their eyes. Do not cut off their hands. I need more hands in the Congo." Dude, there are some absurd pictures of houses back then where there'll just be like a bunch of slaves working in the background, but then there'll be one European that literally has a fence made out of bones. And that's because of King Leopold II. All because he wanted some rubber. Like, evil. It's absurd how evil he was, dude. Evil. Yes. Actually, more evil than Genghis, because this was relatively recent, dog. Grigory Rasputin. I think Rasputin is borderline overrated. Like, I'm just gonna keep it real, dog. A lot of people were not happy when I brought him up in, like, historical aura, and he does have that because he's known as one of the hardest to kill human beings of all time. And, like, if you take that out of it, he would have just been a normal cult leader. And, like, with a weird family. This man, okay, believed that he had healing powers given to him by God himself. And then he was taken to the royal family after getting a bunch of cults, okay? And then one of the, it was the royal family, they had a son, and the son had a blood-thinning disease where even the slightest cut could cause him to bleed out, okay? And then he goes to this child, into this royal family, and he tells them, stop giving him your earthly medicine and let me heal him. After a week, the child started getting better. And you hear that and you're like, well, I guess it kind of works. No, they were giving him penicillin. Penicillin is a known blood thinner. They were poisoning their own child because they didn't understand how blood thinning works. That doesn't make you magic, dog. Okay? On top of that, apparently, he was a deviant, okay? We're talking, like, Diddy levels of deviant, okay? Okay, I'm gonna bring up Diddy later on in the video, but his own daughter kept his hog basically in a pickle jar to sew off to people, okay? Like, he was pretty bad. Like, he was pretty bad. There wasn't a lot that he actually did for people around him. He was a cult leader that wouldn't stop banging people's wives. Honestly, bro, I probably would have helped out in getting rid of him, if I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I'm putting him in bad. Yeah, obviously. Joseph Stalin also has a superhero nickname, the Man of Steel. Stalin means steel man. Man of Steel, yes. Man of Steel is actually got in trouble for being too close to Stalin. Now, am I going to come up with an argument to defend Stalin? No, he's like the GOAT of dictators, though. Like, imagine being so good at dictators that you had a weaker form of governance in communism, okay? I'm sorry, bro. If you ever want to make this argument over what's better, communism or capitalism, I just got to remind you that we became the global superpower in under 300 years when all of you fuckers have been here for thousands. Okay? I just gotta remind y'all of that. I will glaze America for things that they need to get glazed about. Okay? And one of those, we became the first ever hyperpower in history in under 300 years, okay? We literally spawned into the game and immediately started getting infinite XP. Goated, okay? But Stalin was working with communism, and he was still being competitive with the Americas. That's all I'm saying, dog. Ran probably the closest thing to a villain versus villain matchup that we'll ever see in history in the Battle of Stalingrad between the Soviet Union and Germany during World War II. And won. That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. In terms of evil, I'm going to put him at the top of bad. At the top of bad. Like, understand, like, it was really his... Yes, did he most likely assassinate people? But understand, we're dealing with different levels of evil here. And I gotta put... Okay. I'm gonna put him in bad. I have too many evil, dog. Yeah, bad. Top of bad. Yeah, I defend that. Yeah, Christopher Columbus is more evil than Stalin, dog. John Wayne Gacy. It's actually kind of wild that this guy just existed. Like... If I were, like, this is one of those where it sounds like it's from a movie because of how crazy it sounds. Oh, yeah, dude, there was this guy, he ran a construction company, he hated his wife, he had a few children, he dressed up as a clown on the weekends, and he may or may not have invited young men over to his house to off them in a clown get-up. Is that not one of the craziest things you've ever heard? But that just legit, if that was in a movie, we would be like, no way. However... I've told this story multiple times. And listen, he's going and might be the devil. I'm just going to spoil that right now. However, let me tell you, in order to make this a little bit more lighthearted, my favorite John Wayne Gacy story of all time. Okay, let me set the scene for you. Okay? John Wayne Gacy ran a construction company and hired a lot of young men. Just did. Okay? And lots of young men. And when a young man did a good enough job at the construction site, he would invite them over back to his house after work for underage drinking, okay? Invited them over, but one of the people that he invited was a all-state varsity wrestler in high school and would go on to be a collegiate-level champion, okay? Invited this guy over into his house, and John Wayne Gacy told him, hey, yo, dog, listen, man, they're wasted right now. Bro, you really think your fucking wrestler can take me out? Let me tell you something. If you can take me down, I will pay you $100. But if you can't, I'm going to put these handcuffs on you. Red flags right away. And that happened a lot, apparently. That was one of his ways that he would do it. He would get you wasted and then he would put handcuffs on you. But this Chad, dude... They get into this wrestling match, and how he describes it, this is one of the few guys to get away. He blast doubled him so hard, he knocked the wind out of John Wayne Gacy and slammed him into the wood floor. Okay? And walked up to him after he's like, John Wayne Gacy, don't feel bad. Grabbed the wallet out of his pocket, and instead of taking $100, took everything out of his wallet, okay? And grabbed this leather wallet and whipped it out of his face and said, thanks for the money, pussy, and then walked away. Oh! That's the coolest dude. He tells that story dude, I would be the most insufferable person on the planet if I had a story where I literally stole the lunch money from a serial killer. I would be the most insufferable human on the planet if that was me. My favorite John Wayne Gacy story of all time. Get bullied, son. Might be the devil, though. Diddy. Isn't it kind of wild that, like, the Diddy story was so big last year that, like, that this was the big... Like, a lot of stuff happened last year. A lot of stuff happened in 2024, okay? Dr. Disrespect, Mr. Beast, a lot of stuff. P. Diddy was the biggest thing that happened last year, okay? Because it was such a wide range of alleged crimes that, like, if this was a supervillain, this would be like Dr. Doom, okay? We have alleged car bombings. We have okay, is it really alleged if they got him on camera basically abusing his girlfriend? And then we have alleged freak-offs at his mansion that may or may not have included some of the biggest athletes and actors in the world. Okay? My mother always said, you can tell who's with you by how much they're willing to defend you. There was a lot of people that went to these parties. Not one motherfucker wants to defend the guy. That's all I'm saying. Okay? That's crazy. I'm going to put him in evil because, yeah, I got to put him in evil next to King Jong Un. What an absolutely insane tier list this is, dog. We got Uday Hussein, Evil Mustache Man, Jeffrey Dahmer, and John Wayne Gacy in Might Be Evil. No, Might Be the Devil. Evil is King Leopold, Genghis Khan, Saddam Hussein, Christopher Columbus, Kim Jong Un, and Diddy. What an insane video, dog. And there you go. That is the historical villain tier list, okay? You know what? I really enjoyed this video. If this can get, let's say, 4,000 likes, I'll do a part 2 to this one. If you have another historical video, leave it down there in the comment section down below. We got a lot of big stuff coming. I got a dedicated video for Vlad and Pablo Escobar. We have the entirety of World War II explained in bro terms. We have an Elden Ring lore video. We have a gaming video that I'm going to be releasing tomorrow or Sunday. We have a lot. I gotta, listen. I'm so blessed that my problem is I have a lot of videos that I gotta make for you guys, okay? And if that sounds good to you, please consider a like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to get to 250,000 subscribers by the end of the year. 1 million before the release of Elder Scrolls 6, and that's only possible because of you guys. And I will see you all in the next video. Adios, guys.